Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming. My name is Emily. I'm really happy to be here. This is the first time I am presenting for Passages. So lots of experience on the board, but now it's a new experience to present. So thank you all for coming. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for my presentation. All right. And then let me just choose the present button. It's loading. Okay, so today I am presenting on mindfulness, the power of music and meditation. This presentation is going to talk about a lot of music and its guided meditation and how those two can combine as a strategy to help clients deal with physical and emotional distress, especially in the music therapy session. So the purpose of this presentation is to explore the combination of those and how they impact the behavioral function and emotional change of individuals. So we want to focus on descriptive words and how people are actually feeling when we give them these practices and how they prefer to feel afterwards. Our learning objective is for you all, the attendees, to recall neurological impacts of the combination of music and meditation practices and participate in a mindfulness intervention, which we will get to a bit later, which is part of this presentation. And also, just in addition, you can ask questions, but I would probably rather hold the questions till the end because we are going to be experiencing some interaction throughout the presentation already. So, thank you. So, who am I? Just as an overview before we get in. My name is Emily. I go by she, her. Right now, I'm a student at Anna Maria College. I'm in one of the practice rooms at the moment, so if you hear pep band people walking by, they're just getting done from rehearsal. I major in music therapy, and I'm also double minoring in psychology and jazz studies with a focus on the piano. So all this exciting stuff going on. I have been on the NER-AMTAS board, and right now I'm completing my practicum experience at Perkins School for the Blind, which I actually just got back from today, which was really fun. And I'm working with children ages 6 to 13 with visual impairments. I also have experience in songwriting and meditation because I have done these components on my own in my personal life, and I experience a lot of healing and support from other people just by practicing in these aspects. And I want to use it as a strategy for clients to feel the same way and relief of distress that I felt. As a side note, I am not professionally licensed or trained to lead meditation sessions. We're going to use this as a practice for sessions. So, yeah, not licensed. Okay, so let's talk about client distress. First of all, what is stress? It is any type of change that causes physical, emotional, or psychological strain. So what might be stressful to one person may not be stressful to another. It's always depending on the person and how they perceive their emotions or the environment and how it impacts their emotions. There are 3 types of stress. One is acute stress, which is temporary. So this is like public speaking or getting ready to take a test or do a presentation. And then the next is distant stress, which is frequent acute stress. This also can include past events, traumatic episodes, and frequently experiencing the stress of past events. Chronic stress is ongoing stress, so repeatedly stressing over a specific topic or a specific event. A bit more obsessive of like things that may make you feel very just anxious in general. And what are the causes of stress? Just some examples are unemployment, health issues, unhealthy relationships, the lack of support, and emotional and physical trauma. The effects of this have a strain on the autonomic nervous system, which includes the involuntarily functions of the body. So this includes breathing problems, high blood pressure, heart-related disorders, things that people cannot physically control when they are experiencing stress. How does this look in a music therapy session? Well, if we walk in and we have a client who is experiencing stress, they may show physical or emotional uncomfort that we can see as a sign. They may not want to participate in the music. They may mentally separate themselves from the environment, so some disassociation. And they may verbalize their feelings to you. They may tell you how exactly they are feeling. We need to understand the emotional and physical uncomfort of an individual before we can address their needs and help them feel less tension and stress. And so how do music therapists typically approach this? Well, we can use a bunch of strategies. One of them is the ISO principle. That is a technique where music is matched with the mood of a client and then altered to affect the client's to affect the desired emotional mood and state that we want the client to be in or the client wants to be in. This also contributes to physiopsychological responses, including heart rate and blood pressure. Music therapists can understand where their client is and use music to help navigate to a desired emotion. For an example, if a client displays signs of uncomfort and anger, maybe the music therapist wants to play louder minor chords to validate the client's feelings and then slowly fade into a softer minor chord progression to alleviate the heaviness of it, because anger can be seen as a very aggressive feeling, but instead of gradually moving away from the feeling, and then it would eventually go to a more either positive state or a more accepting state. Just for 2 seconds. Hold on, give me 2 seconds, I'm so sorry. I am back. Thank you for your patience. So another strategy is adjusting the stimuli intake, and clients may have sensitive sensory processes. Maybe there's too much light in the environment. Maybe we want to dim the lights, or maybe they're experiencing too much stimuli in the eyes or the ears. Maybe we want to cover their ears or eyes to prevent them from having any heavier emotions. Another strategy is validating the client's emotional experiences. So simply telling the client that you are there for them and that you understand where they are. So typically, if a client prefers to listen to sad music when they feel sad, then we would want to play sad music for them. Any preference that the client has, we would adjust to their needs. And this involves musical styles and also songs, because maybe a client has a specific song that relates to their emotion, and we want to share this in the setting so they can experience what they need to feel. Now here is another introduction to a resource that we can use for just regularly helping clients relieve distress. This is the Feelings Wheel, brought by Dr. Wilcox, which was created in 1982. This is a tool for expanding awareness of emotions and increasing spontaneity and intimacy. So you see how we have a big circle and 3 layers of the circle of emotions. The first layer is the primary feelings, the second layer is secondary, and then the third is the tritary, which is the most specific. So if we take anger, we can go right into the outer parts, which is either being let down or humiliated, and then the other parts of that where maybe a client's actually feeling betrayed, or maybe they're feeling disrespected or ridiculed, and we want to address where these emotions are built off of in order to help them relieve those tensions. This helps people learn and to recognize and communicate about their feelings. And just as an overview of what Gloria Wilcox said about this wheel is that it has been proven to be useful in assisting clients to learn how to identify, to express, to generate, and to change feelings. So now we're going to introduce meditation. After learning about the client's stress levels and how they experiencing the types of them and how music therapists usually approach stress from their own knowledge, introducing meditation may also be a great way to bring it into an intervention. So what is mindful meditation? It is basically the human ability to be fully present, focusing inward on ourselves and accepting our environment's circumstances. It begins with the body, which is the most important part. Begins and ends with the body. It involves taking time to pay attention to where we are and what's going on, and starts with being aware of where our body is before we can understand where our mind is. So there are different types of meditation. One is, well, not one, just different ways of going about meditation. Seated, walking, standing, and moving. So placing your body in a different environment may actually relieve the emotions that the body is feeling. And this alters the cognitive process. So sitting outdoors, rather than being inside with no light or anything like that, where the outdoors will help you maybe expand if that's what you're comfortable with and that's what you prefer with the amount of room that you have. So that's one. And then another one is short pauses we insert to everyday life. So meditation is not just a sit still, you need to focus everything on yourselves. It actually can be involved in between classes, homework, conversations. If you just have that minute to look inward rather than outward, that is a meditative practice. You can also merge meditation with other activities, yoga, sports, or even playing an instrument. When people get lost in what they're doing with like the passion that they have, whether it's on the field and they're playing a game and they lose track of time, or they have those couple of seconds to focus on what's actually going on in their mind, or especially like even playing piano, you're experiencing that meditative break because it's something that you love and you're focusing on the inward part of yourself and contributing that to something in your environment. So some of the benefits of meditation are reducing stress and enhancing performance, gain insight, and awareness about our cognitive process. So the awareness part is really big, because if we are not understanding what's going on in our body or in our mind, then the results may not be as effective. And this actually will increase our attention to others' well-being. So kind of from the last few slides, where if you cannot focus inward on yourself and help yourself first, then we cannot focus on other people. And this will help us help other people. So the purpose of the practice, that's a big part. There is no one purpose to being involved in meditation. Some people want to relieve stress. Some people want to find balance. Some people want to restore energy. Even though meditation is a very calm activity, it can help you feel restored afterwards. It's almost like you're taking a 20-minute break with closing your eyes and then getting back to work. Like, that is giving your body time to experience less stimuli and then go back to what you were doing. Also sharpen concentration and to feel energized, to unwind and calm the mind. So now music integrated into this practice. See how we're building everything. We learn about the basics, and then we go on to the meditative stuff. So listen to music during a meditation practice will alleviate heavier emotions on the mind and body. How is this so? Well, if you involve music while meditating, or other way around, it acts as a constant stimuli. So say you're listening to music and you're meditating, you'll most likely not listen to music that's very stimulating, lots of different sounds going on. It most likely might be a drone of a singular pitch or a consistency of musical intensity. So not a lot of dynamics going on. It's a lot of just very constant. And when this happens, if you are listening to verbal guided meditation, which means words, like meaning like someone is guiding you through the process, those words become emphasized and they have much more value. Um, and also, the noises surrounding your own environment kind of get taken away. They kind of start to disappear because the music is integrated as your external environment. Um, and this can also be in breathing exercises. So, music can navigate and regulate an individual's breathing rate by breathing in, which creates tension, and then breathing out, which is a form of release. Um, and also respiration, blood pressures, and other vital organs. And then another way music can be integrated is exploring and discovering new sounds. So some musical audio tracks have naturalistic sounds, and this can be birds, the ocean, or trees swaying in the wind. This seems to be more of like the stereotypical way of how we may think meditation works, but this is also a very basic way of just understanding how music can be integrated. This helps an individual be creative, so explore the different environments they want to feel safe in, and then giving that individual the tools they need in order to feel that way. So, with music and meditation, I have experienced working on a project last spring in a class, and I researched the impacts of music and meditative practice on heavy emotions, including anxiety and depression. And actually, some people here who I see as the participants actually participated in this experiment, so thank you. 30 participants were involved. They listened to 2 audio tracks. One audio track involved music and meditation, and then the other was just meditation. It was verbal guided words without music. And we kept track of how the participant described their emotions before they listened to these tracks and after they listened to these tracks, and took note of the descriptive words that they used to describe how they were feeling. And then descriptive words were on a scale of 1 to 5 based on their intensity, and that's how the math was brought in to actually evaluate how a person was feeling before and after. So what were my results? Well, this is my data. So as you can see on the left, this is where participants listen to music and meditation. So music is integrated in this part. On the bottom, you see the types of emotions. We have anxiety, depression, anger, excitement, and happiness. And then the percentage of participants who experienced this. So I took an overall view of how these participants experienced it, and then just added that to the data. So we see before listening to the audio, people were feeling anxious, people were feeling feelings of depression and anger more so than not. And then once they listened, after they listened to the audio, they started feeling more emotions of excitement and happiness, which is something that was already involved in my hypothesis. So I understood that where this was coming from, and I was like, yes, this kind of makes sense. Surprisingly, no one felt anger after that, which is, I guess, a very good sign, because I would not want anyone to feel angry after being involved in this experiment. But yes, so that was on the left side. And on the right side, I had people listen to an audio that had the absence of music. So it was just verbal words. And they experienced a bit of anxiety and feelings of depression in the beginning as well. But after listening to it, the results did not go down as much as it did when music was involved. And additionally, which was very surprising, is that there was an increase of anger. As you can see, even though it's a smidge, that data there showed me that there was something going on where the music involved actually helped alleviate the heavier emotions of anger, but then this actually brought them up. And some people still felt excitement and happiness, but the overall the overall pink and blue ratios were not as clear cut. They were very unstable, or they're very unbalanced feelings before and after listening to the audio. So, since we have talked about all of the meditation and musical aspects of applying it to a session and the data going along with it, I had planned a music therapy strategy to use with clients in a session to kind of like involve this technique. So, in order to do this, I do have a plan, like already created a song, and like the purpose of that song, which is to really alleviate stress. But I also wanted to involve some participants in, so I was going to ask maybe 2 or 3 people to answer these questions, and then we can dive right into the practice. So, in the participants, what are some words to describe how you're feeling today? We have a couple of options, or if you have any other words that you would like to use, feel free. If anyone wants to unmute.
I can be your participant if you wish.
Yeah, go ahead.
What should I say? My emotions?
Yes. Yeah, how are you feeling today?
Yes, I'm tired. I'm really tired. I'm a little bit scared about my physical condition. And so it's like anxiety. Maybe, and I'm a little bit curious because I'm hearing you, listening to you, and a little bit excited, and maybe even not a little bit. I'm nervous because tomorrow my presentation. So you understand me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what should I say now?
No, thank you so much. Yeah, so those are all such valid emotions. I'm actually experiencing some today or even now just because of like the presentation. So I totally understand where you're coming from with your presentation tomorrow. What do you hope to feel after experiencing a meditative practice with music? Do you help to release the stress or the tiredness?
Yes, of course I would like to at least to diminish to decrease my stress, because I don't want to release it fully, because I need energy for my evening. I'm in California and it's only 3 p.m. Now here where I am. So I want just to decrease it a little bit and maybe to feel myself more balanced.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, yes, and we can totally do that with the song that I have planned. Is there anyone else who would like to share?
So is this like an overall like feeling of what we felt today?
Yeah, or yes, that's a good question. Or what you're feeling at the moment, or the overall emotion that kind of like was in your mind from today.
Um, I have to say also a little anxious as well, because anxious and tired because, you know, planning this for passages and also worrying about, you know, technical difficulties or anything like that was going to be a little difficult today, but yeah, that's just what I've been feeling today.
Thank you. And then what do you hope to feel after our practice together?
I would like to honestly feel, I want to find balance. You
Unbalanced.
know, I want to feel like I'm at a good place right now, and that, you know, all of this in a way was just, you know, not in my, like in my head, but just not in my head, you know?
Mhm. It's totally understandable. Um, and yeah, Toby, you're doing great with everything. you have helped make passages online again happen. So thank you for that. But yeah, as we move along, let's put this into practice. So I would all ask, if you can, wherever you are, close your eyes and focus more so on your breathing as we do this practice. You can sit still in a chair, you can sit wherever you are. If you're on a bed, if you're standing, it's totally okay. Preferably not moving your body would help. And yeah, and all you would have to do is listen to my voice and the music that we will make. So for this intervention, there are going to be 3 different types introduced. The same type of concept, but 3 different layers to understand how the integration of meditation and music can be involved. Hold on. Okay. All right, so now let's take a deep breath in and out. It's time to take a break and give ourselves some space. Today was overwhelming. So let's breathe in and let's breathe out. Let's breathe in and out. I will now move on to the second part. It's time to take a break and give ourselves some space. Today was overwhelming. So let's breathe in and out. Let's breathe in and out. I will now move on to the third part. It's time to take a break and give ourselves some space. Today was overwhelming. So let's breathe in and let's breathe out. Let's breathe in and out. Now let's squeeze our hands and toes. Let's squeeze, squeeze, squeeze and release. Let's breathe in and let's breathe out. Let's breathe in and let's breathe out. Now let's close our eyes like we do and think about happy times. Let's breathe in Breathe in and out. And now take a minute and then feel the feelings in your fingers and your toes. Maybe wiggle your fingers and open your eyes. Awesome. Thank you for participating in that. That actually means a lot. Thank you so much. Another musical check-in. If we could maybe have 2 or 3 people answer the questions afterwards of what you just experienced. How are you feeling after the practice? Did you experience any change with what you were feeling prior? And what type of practice did you prefer? The first, second, or third? The first being no musical aspect whatsoever to the meditation. The second being guided verbal words with musical support. And the third being completely musical language and the musical aspect with the guitar. So you can unmute if you would like to share.
Okay, I was the first, so I will be the first here again. First of all, I liked a lot, and I can share what I felt. I thought that maybe the secret of meditation, at least it was the secret of this meditation, that I felt myself like, usually I don't like to be guided, but it was a situation when I was like a baby. It was a little bit like a lullaby for me, and I could relax and I could feel myself supported by music, by words. And I liked a lot this idea when meditation is guided not only by musical accompaniment, by singing. And I thought, oh, it's very interesting. It's so intimate. It's so charming. It's so interesting and even unusual. So it really helps. I think it helped me to feel like a baby. So thank you a lot. And I don't know how long it will continue, but now I have feeling of relaxation in my head.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I'm really happy that even though you mentioned how this is something that you might not participate in with the guided words, I'm happy that like the singing aspect of it helped you kind of alter your emotional state from the beginning. So yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
I totally loved the second and the third word. It was just something that, like, during the second part, like I felt like deep in my chest, like a feeling of what I've been blocking out this whole time, because when I've been so stressed before in situations where I don't know how else to handle them, I don't know how else to like feel again, but I just think with like some great elements with just like with your voice, how soothing it is. You matching the atmosphere, like just the energy and atmosphere in the room. It was like, I wouldn't say like Svetlana, like I felt like a baby, but it felt like I was like in my bed listening to music or going to a park. And on a like when it's a nice sunny day and there's like wind and everything, it's like all of those worries and stress I had are gone. So like I feel like my favorite part of it was definitely the third part, just your singing and like the guitar and me feeling like I'm drifting away on clouds or something. That's my favorite.
Thank you, and I love that metaphor. I also love how you mentioned that you were feeling. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you were feeling an emotion or part of yourself that was either being um, what is the word for it? Um, put put down, like kept in your body, like tension in your body. Um, yeah, so it's really good to kind of like have that awareness once you practice in this, because you're like, oh my gosh, I've been feeling that stressed. It's the same thing as like either like clenching your mouth too much with like your jaw, putting your teeth together, and then finally like releasing it, and then realizing like, oh my goodness, this is something that I've been holding on to for a really long time. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. That's amazing how you guys have been able to experience that. And with Toby, with you mentioning the second one too, that was awesome. Yeah, because like even though like um, music and meditation fully meet at the third part, the second part is still with the musical support. There's still an aspect of music being involved, even if it was just an accompaniment. So thank you both for sharing. Is there anyone else? If not, we can move on, but I just wanted to make sure if anyone else wanted to share. All right. So, just a little bit about what kind of just happened and how we can use this tool in a session. I involved breathing. Breathing is a part of every individual's life that that is not met with intense stimuli. If you focus on the breath, it helps you navigate your following of the breath rather than controlling your breathing and focusing on how it's actually happening to you is a certain type of acceptance. When we breathe in, that's tension, and then when we breathe out, that's release. And it's important to have these factors in order to feel the other. For the musical choices in that practice, I chose just to do a simple 1 and 5 chord. The 5 chord built the tension because it wanted to lead to the 1, and then the one chord released the tension. The dynamics are really important too, because when we are feeling tense, we tend to feel maybe like louder in ourselves, which we would like to contribute to the music with louder dynamics. And then when we're releasing that breath, it can feel a safe space. It can feel like a home, like a place of home, and that those dynamics would tend to be a bit quieter. Songwriting is a very important aspect of this practice, because if this is a song I did compose. Alternating, inserting different lyrics to further validate the client is probably one of the most important things also, because it allows the client to hear how they're feeling in a musical form, or maybe even participate in the singing aspect or speaking aspect, verbally, even non-verbally. We can be in a session with a client and still communicate with the client about how they're feeling if when their physical conditions or their experiences that they're feeling in the moment tend to soften or tense, and we can observe what they're doing, and then we can use this in a lyrical form. We are narrating the present, and that's actually the meditation aspect, which is pretty funny. When we're talking about what's going on in the moment, we're having the client be much more aware of the environment, and that's actually what meditation is, which is pretty cool. And what I also contributed was co-regulation, which is where the therapist can demonstrate behaviors in the breathing exercises to help the client further engage in the exercises. So as you all were breathing in and out, I was contributing to that motion as well. Even making the sounds of breathing in like very intensely and breathing out like would help the client understand the process of the breathing. And just all of these in combined will help help the client experience an atmosphere of compassion, especially build the therapeutic relationship even further. So the universal benefits. This is not only important to the music therapy session or just to clients in distress, it helps everyone universally. And with any accommodation, this accommodation of practice will help everyone. When researching this topic and further diving into some evidence to help support this, I came across the GAP research, which was composed or written by Benjamin Cohen, and he's an assistant professor of ethnomusicology at the Florida State University. He specializes in medical, cognitive, and applied ethnomusicology. And he developed this model to have music students use meditation to master their piece of music. So meditation and music are not just for self-regulating. It's to experience much more accuracy in their musical performances or comfort level in their music performances. The model helped students experience cognitive, emotional, and body flexibility, uplifting heavy emotions and increasing the amount of dopamine involved, which is pretty cool. This refers to the natural capacity to transform a present state of consciousness to a new focus of attention, experiencing transcendence of music. Sorry, let me go back for 2 seconds. So, as we were talking about before, how meditation can be found in even the smallest moments where there is a pause. Performance can be a very big one before the piece starts or after the piece ends, or those small moments in a piece where we experience a release can help us find that type of alleviation of emotions. So involving meditation into their practice would help navigate how to actually perform, which is pretty cool. And these are some resources that not only we can use with clients in a session, but also for ourselves. The biggest one that I would suggest is the Calm app. This is actually kind of what I depicted my presentation off on. I've experienced for almost a year now with meditating, I'd say every other day. This is an app on your phone that you can use for sleep, meditation, and relaxation. It has guided meditations, journal reflections after the meditation, breathing exercises specifically for the purpose. So there's like one breathing exercise just to feel release of stress. There's another one to feel energized. Different breathing exercises can help with specific tools. It's kind of interesting because if you think about it, you would just think breathing in one way may just help you feel all the other ways, but it's not like that. It's like if you participate in different breathing styles, you'll experience different emotions, which is pretty cool. And just relaxing music. There's a lot of background music on there as well, just for like if you want music to listen to while you're doing homework or taking a walk or anything like that. And this is recommended by psychologists, therapists, and mental health experts, which is awesome. And another resource is Inward by Young Pueblo. This is one of my favorite books. It's a collection of poetry and quotes that explores the movement of self-love to unconditional love, power of letting go, and the wisdom of knowing ourselves. So although this does not apply to the music therapy profession, this is a very strong tool in order to understand the healing of ourselves before we can help others heal, or to navigate inward before we navigate outward, which is really big. And then the last resource I put on this presentation is the new Music Therapist's Handbook, written by Suzanne B. Hanser. And it's a handbook of essential concepts of how to kind of talk about music therapy, what music therapy is about, and it also discusses about the neurological aspects and inner workings of music therapy. So some of my research off of this presentation was based on that book, which very much helped, especially talking about the involuntary movements of our body when we experience stress. And just as a works cited moment, these are my sources. And this is the end of my presentation. I thank you so much for listening. I was very excited to present on this, and this is the second time I'm kind of presenting on this presentation, logically. So this was really exciting to kind of go over again and add music therapy elements to it. So yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and ask if you have any questions or comments. Or if there was anything that you liked, you didn't like, something that you believe can further be researched on, anything like that.
I have to say, like, I kind of really found it interesting how you bring, like, your own, joys to yourself, like the Young Pueblo book. I actually know him too, and looking at his poetry as well and similar works are just a good way just to, like, deepen and, like, soften our mind when we're stressed through many things, but, and, like, also the calm app, but being able to just, like, conjoin these two together are just so interesting. So yeah, I thought that was really cool, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm happy that it's very familiar to you. I'm not sure of like how many people know the resources that I use, so it's nice to see people who like know who these authors are or the apps that we use. So, thank you. Adri, yeah.
I think that was an awesome presentation. I'm curious, how did you come about getting into meditation? How did you come across that, and when did you start implementing that in your own life?
Thank you so much. That's a good question. I actually started last December. For Anna Maria students, we had a 2-month break for the winter. We had a lot of time on our hands. So kind of experiencing like self-healing in that period of time was really helpful, because it just allowed me to focus more on myself rather than the past and the future. And I really got into it after doing it continuous times. So yeah. And then I wanted to apply it to music, so that's how it worked. Questions? If not, that is it. Thank you so much for coming to my presentation and for participating in the intervention. This means a lot. And I hope that you learned something out of this, and were able to put your own thoughts into this research. So thank you.
All right. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. I've been having technical difficulties, so it's been weird, but Emily, thank you so much for that presentation. It's definitely something that I'd prefer to use in the future, but thank you again so much for like all the hard work that you do, but also this presentation. I think that, you know, many people will find it to be really like useful and like resourceful in like the future. So thanks a lot. As like a token of our appreciation, because I didn't want to tell you, but you are also getting a certificate of completion for your presentation for passages. Again, splendid job. So tomorrow we do have a presentation. Again, excuse the train noises. Yeah, so tomorrow at 12 p.m. we do have a presentation, and one of our own, Adri Celeste, is presenting at 3 p.m. So stay tuned and stay for that. 12 p.m. we have Svetlana, and then around 2 we have a few other presenters. So thank you guys so much for tonight. We'll be sometime this weekend posting the recordings, and yeah, I hope everyone has a great rest of their night.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great job, Emily.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.